Two. Right, so I'm there. I need to just elongate that, otherwise it'll stop.
1 2 1 2 1 2 2 2. Right, you good to go?
I believe so. Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Has everyone else been absolutely useless, or is it just me?
No, it's
technological challenges.
Well, that voice you hear there, that's today's guest. That's Jamie Lawson. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm
Apologies
all right.
already. Apologies.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's something that we've all been sort of trying to sort of get our heads around, and I guess not just musicians having to sort of do stuff remotely now, but podcasters as well, which is something like there's so many of these recordings. I mean, we're doing this in lockdown, I should say, face to face over Zoom, but thankfully, so many people that I do chat to have the facilities to record stuff at home, which is great because it means that for people that don't know how the podcast things are working remotely, a lot of time if people record, I record my end and Jamie's recording his, and then my producer will paste them together, and then you get a nice sounding podcast. You don't get that kind of sort of phone-in style. It sounds nice and warm and
hopefully, unless I completely mess it up, which we've already discovered is quite possible. So yes.
Well, before we get on to your track list, Jamie, I just want to ask you how you found quarantine and lockdown as both a human and as a creative.
Well, as a human, I found it the whole situation very worrying, kind of life-altering, life-changing. Is normal over? Are we done with normal? Is this a new normal now? And people saying we're going to get back to normal soon. That's a load of rubbish. That's not going to happen anymore. Specifically, I guess in my case about shows and things like that, doing gigs, how comfortable are people going to be squashed into a club full of 200-300 other people, shoulder to shoulder? I don't think I'd want to go and do that right now. Can't see me wanting to do that this year. How comfortable will I be next year? Are we all going to be fine once there's a vaccine and we know that actually we just have to take some vaccine and everything will be all right? Or I just don't know. I can't work it out. And
I think that's the thing, Jamie. I think it's a thing that no one really knows. And I think that's where the kind of the weirdness comes from, that feeling of like, well, no one's got any answers to this yet. And I think that's what leaves you in limbo. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, completely. And unfortunately, we have a government that are just chasing themselves around. They haven't got a clue themselves. They're different statements from one politician to the next. And then obviously we've just, this is like, we on 3 or 4 days after the Dominic Cummings thing.
Yeah.
And that's been absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, how he has not gone is beyond me. So, this idea of using your common sense and following a government that has none is just bonkers. It's bonkers. I don't know if you watched the Charlie Brooker viral wipe thing, but
what
absolute
a breath
genius.
Of fresh air. Like, that was the
so
best.
Clever.
That's one of my highlights of these last couple of months in lockdown. Is just as soon as I knew that Brooker was going to be doing something, I thought, oh, this is going to be good, and it delivered. It really did.
Absolutely, just factual state after factual statement, and they're all just geniusly funny, as well as just being, oh my god, that actually happened.
I know.
It's just it's so well done. But so you're almost living in Black Mirror society type stuff.
Exactly how it feels.
It's all over the place. So as a musician, and in terms of creating, I would have thought it was a brilliant time to create. I haven't really done any creating.
The answer. I've spoke to so many people, like musicians and stuff, since this began, and so many of them have said that.
It seems that people have either gone one way or another. It's either they've all taken up a new hobby, learnt a language, done a load of DIY, fixed the garden or something,
Yeah.
or not done anything. I have a slight excuse. I'm quite lucky in one way that I was going to take all this time off right now anyway.
Mm.
I had we had a baby in February, so I have
Congratulations.
thank you. We have a 16-week-old baby right now, which obviously adds its own complications in a lockdown environment. We've just had this morning had a health visitor, this Zoom meeting with a health visitor. You know, it's just like, which is also kind of weird, because obviously she can't see the baby.
Yeah.
So if there is, you know, you have that worry that if there's anything just slightly off, that she would notice that you'd have no idea about.
Yeah.
She's not going to see it over Skype.
Yeah.
So you have these, you know, all those sort of issues and worries. But yeah, so that he's kind of my reason for having not done any work.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, to be able to go, right, I'm going to go and write a new album when you've got a 16-week-old, then yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, not at all. Having said that, this very day, it's the 29th of May today as we record this, and my new EP has come out today. It's been released today.
Oh, wow. Okay,
so,
fantastic.
I recorded that last year, knowing that obviously Billy was coming along and we could plan this kind of year around it.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't know the pandemic was on its way, and whether to release music at this time is another matter as well. And I really did debate that, but I think it's a good time for new music. I think people, not to blow my own trumpet, but certain, you know, people that like my music would look forward to that, and it will give some people some enjoyment, and me as well, to release music into the world. So I think it's worth doing, and I'm glad I've done it. So yeah, it's been an interesting time to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. and I think, you know, you say about putting music out, you know, for your fans and stuff like that. Then, you know, it is a good time to put stuff out, and I think it's a good time for creators to put stuff out and for people to enjoy it. For, you know, if anything, just escapism and that distraction from, you know, put your phones down and stop looking at news feeds, because it's going to drive you spare. You know, it's not going to give you any answers there.
It's easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, completely. Turn it off, put your headphones on and listen to some music and escape. Track one, Jamie.
Yeah.
A song with your song that you regard as having the greatest intro ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a question. What a ridiculous question. Can I ask, has anyone, I assume a lot of people would go for like a Rolling Stone, Bob Dylan. Has anyone done that?
We've had no Dylan.
No.
I think somebody chose Jack Flash, I think.
As in Jumpin' Jack Flash?
Yeah.
Right, okay. No one's chosen like a Rolling Stone. I'm so surprised.
Yeah, it's a corking start, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I would have thought that was the best, and then it's everything else after that.
It's just that one note. It's like you hear that one note at the beginning.
Big bang of the snare drum, you know? It's just electrifying.
And the minute you hear that, it's like when you hear that chord before, is it Hard Day's Night, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
And like you just think, it's Hard Day's Night.
Yeah,
just that one chord, it's that iconic. And and it's definitely the same with like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, I mean, it has there's just that moment of suspense before the song starts, essentially, just that one hit. But I just assumed someone else would have gone for it. But anyway, I went for a Michael Jackson song called "We're Almost There," which I first heard on a best of Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 vinyl album that my brothers had.
Yeah.
And it's a stunning song. Do you know the song?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what a tune.
Yeah.
Just that intro itself, the way that it builds and builds and builds, you know, it's almost like the Rocky theme.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of thing. And then it just goes into that release.
Yeah.
It just opens up with all those strings and that bass line that the Jam nicked for a town like Malice, town called Malice, you know, it's just brilliant, you know.
The way you've just described that, if I was to do this, answer my own questions. And if I chose a song that made me instantly from the intro have to dance,
Yeah.
it's Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
the
yes,
same.
yes.
The full version's got that kind of bass line, and then you've just got the woo and the strings, and then it's man, it's just genius.
Absolutely.
That's an intro. But
Yeah.
so how are you with the madness that is? I mean, we have to appreciate everything else aside. Michael Jackson musically is a fucking genius.
Yeah.
Undeniable.
Yeah.
Can you separate the music, the artist, from the madness that is the media, the whole Michael Jackson stuff? I mean, we should also point out that nothing has ever been proved.
But let's face it, he lost a lot of money in not proving
exactly
things.
that, and it's strange. I'm a huge Smiths fan, and Morrissey's
exactly.
recently been saying some strange things that don't compute with me, and it's like, can you separate the man from?
It seems lately that my favorite artists have all been massively letting me down. Morrissey for one, Michael Jackson, obviously, Ryan Adams as well had some kind of controversy recently.
That's right.
That I don't know. I did not get to the bottom of, but it was all a bit like, what's going on here? And it's like, oh God, can we please just stop?
Yeah, it's there must be a lot of people with. I mean, I've got a lot of sort of Morrissey lyrics tattooed all over me, and I'm thinking, thankfully they're Smith's ones and they're not his solo work, and I'm thinking,
well, yeah, thank God for Johnny Marr, right?
Oh, Johnny Marr, thank you, mate.
Yeah, God, right, exactly.
So but can you do that?
Well, I have to admit I struggle. The very young Michael Jackson songs that We're Almost There is off an album. I found it on that best of, but it's off an album called Forever Michael. And that was released when he was 16, the year I was born. And there is 3 of his records around there. I think another one was Music in Me. And I think Farewell, My Summer Love. These albums I kind of discovered when I was about 14.
Yeah. And
honestly, they got me through a whole summer.
Yeah.
Whatever was going on in my life at that time.
Farewell, My Summer Love's the forgotten gem.
Oh man! But
what a single!
What a single! What an album as well! If you like, there's some tunes on it. But all those 3 records flopped massively. Like I was actually looking some stuff up. I think this got to number 54 in the chart. It was a massive flop for Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson got to only number 54.
Exactly. So these records did disastrously, for him. And this is obviously before Off the Wall. But yeah, I just turned to them again and again, and kind of still do.
Yeah.
There's part of me that really does still need these songs. And recently I discovered Nick Cave does this kind of question and answer thing on his website.
Yeah. And
someone asked him about Morrissey, I think, and about...
They did.
Yeah, and he talks about how you need to disengage the artist from the art. And that's really interesting. And I don't know if it's always possible.
Yeah.
The way I see it is, at 16 years old, Michael Jackson's not thinking much. If we talk about specifically pedophilia stuff that he's been accused of, at 16, he's not thinking that. So can I listen to that? Can I listen to anything before Thriller? Yeah. Because it seems like everything after Thriller is where all the accusations start.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really odd thinking, and I'm not sure that's viable. But that's kind of like my head. Can I justify it that way? No,
it was so answer, weird.
But
when Nick Cave kind of sort of was like, you need to separate it, and I was thinking, brilliant. And then I see that one of my other heroes, Billy Bragg, then made a statement. And I thought, oh, come on, please back it, Billy. And he was like, no, the guy's a piece of shit. And I was like, oh, that's it. I've got to bin the Morrissey records. Billy said so.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, Billy's a huge, huge inspiration for me. And he's recently said some stuff about gender identity and sexual identity and trans stuff, which is also really weird. And the lines and the fine lines there of, of women's rights and then transsexual rights, etc., and where lines are crossed.
Oh,
and how
really?
safe spaces for women can be encroached upon by basically men predators saying now self-identifying, and how do
Wow.
women keep safe, etc., etc. And it's a really deep well that you can
Oh,
fall into as a rabbit hole. You can be down there for years. So there's all sorts of stuff. There's
this
man,
is the downside of
never
social
ending.
media. All
It
of a
kind of
sudden,
is.
all you pop stars have got voices that you don't want to hear.
Well, Billy, you can trust Billy, surely. Surely
Oh,
you can
please
trust
tell me
Billy.
you've got to. Okay. Well, I want to ask you quickly. I always ask this question, and I've been doing this for nearly a couple of years now. I never quite get the question quite as I want it to sound. But as a songwriter, and as somebody that writes music that has had huge mainstream appeal as well. How do you approach an intro in your songwriting? Maybe when you first started as a songwriter, right up to the current EP that's just dropped. Is intro something key? Because from when you first started making music to now, the way that people listen to music is very, very different.
Yes.
There's lots of streaming and things like that.
Yeah.
This is a super loaded question, but basically, I wonder how much emphasis you put on the intro, and has that changed over the years? Through consideration of like radio and things like that.
Well, this is interesting. I was just listening to your podcast with Lamal,
Oh,
and
okay.
he talks about the intro to Too Shy
Yeah.
being 40 seconds long.
Yeah.
If you're not at the chorus by 40 seconds now,
Yeah.
people are turned off.
Yeah.
That's the chorus.
Yeah.
You've had to get through the intro and the first verse before you get to
Yeah.
the chorus. And he's only just starting the song. It doesn't really happen anymore.
People hadn't stopped talking about his hair at that point anyway.
Well, maybe that's the key. So there's two things. I realized as a solo act, playing intros with an acoustic guitar that is essentially just strumming chords around and around, whereas the recorded version might have something else over it to make it interesting. As a solo act, that wasn't interesting. So I kind of started getting to the song as soon as I could, to the point where now I'm pretty much just straight in.
Yeah.
First line, that's what you'll hear. There's no intro whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think on the EP that has just come out, I think 3 of the 5 songs start that way.
Yeah.
One has an intro that you would call an intro with a string section, and the other one is like 2 chords, and then I'm in. So for that reason, intros for me came about via playing live. And the same for guitar solos. Because I was only playing an acoustic guitar, I couldn't do a solo at the same time.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it. It's not interesting.
Yeah.
To play that chord structure again and again and again, whilst you listen to it in your head and others just watch you. Yeah. So I've never had many, instrumental breaks in my songs either. Yeah. Oddly, the only song I can think of that really did have an intro was the big one, Wasn't Expecting That, which does do exactly what I've just said about going around the chord structure once, and somehow it got away with it. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did that, but that's what I did for that. But I generally try not to. I just want to get there. Okay.
Track 2. The first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you?
So I think there must be songs before this. So I've gone for another Michael Jackson song off the same album. So this album, the kind of best of was, I think my brother got when I was 8. I turned 8 and he got it for Christmas. I'm a December child, so it was pretty close. Yeah. And I listened to it all the time, which is, I found quite a few records via my brothers. They're like 7 and 8 years older than I am. So, yeah. But I was trying to think, like, I was even a fan of like, Shakin' Stevens and things like that when I was 5 or 6 or 4 and 5. I don't know, but, and
we
his
all
songs.
was. We all was. I mean, he
Even
looked cool,
someone,
didn't he? He was
well,
like a bit of
exactly.
double denim, white socks. He looked like, he was our Elvis.
But he, but he had songs like "Give Me Your Heart Tonight," and I remember thinking the melody of that was beautiful, and that something about that melody did something inside.
Yeah,
But the "One Day in Your Life," the Michael Jackson song, there was something about that. It's the saddest harmonica intro you'll ever hear,
yeah,
ever. It's so sad. It
yeah,
yearns immediately. And then it was just this kind of, there's a lyric in it that goes, one day in your life, you'll remember the love you found here. You'll remember me somehow. Though you don't need me now, I will stay in your heart. And when things fall apart, you'll remember one day.
yeah,
When. That was what got me, not
yeah,
if. If things fall apart, it's a
yeah,
whole different song.
yeah,
And it's just like, when things fall apart, I'm going to be here.
yeah,
So, and I think that's one of the things about those songs, Motown songs, I guess, they did have that. They had that "I'm going to be here for you" element. A lot of them
yeah,
did. But things are going to be rough,
yeah,
and following that, my home life was odd. My dad was sick a lot. Things got rough. As a kid, you just kind of deal with it.
yeah,
You're a kid and you get through it. You don't think about it much. But looking back on it, I think, oh, I get it. I
yeah.
get why that song hit me over other songs.
What was that emotion?
Um, oh, that's a good question. Understanding
Okay.
someone out there, something had been through this before.
Yeah,
Empathy, I guess,
yeah.
you know.
One of the things that never fails to kind of knock me sideways when I have these conversations with people is people will throw up a song like "One Day in Your Life," which I haven't thought about until I got the email with your song choices on, and I think to myself that could have definitely have been mine. And,
Right.
and so many people sort of send these songs over, and I think, oh God, yeah, never thought of that. Yeah, I wonder when I first heard that. Yeah, I probably heard that. And I do think, like, I remember hearing that song and literally just, it's drenched in sadness, isn't it?
It's all over it. It's
Yeah,
pure melancholy.
yeah,
But here's the other weird thing. That was the opening track on a best of album.
yeah,
That's the first thing you hear. That harmonica, the saddest sound you'll ever hear, is
yeah,
the opening track on a best of the Jackson 5. Not starting with "I Want You Back," ABC, "The Love You
yeah.
Save." They're starting with that. Why? I
I mean,
have
it
no
hardly sets
idea.
the pace for the album, does
It's
it?
so strange. So strange. I've not, I do not know why that is. There must be a reason, but I don't know
Yeah.
it. So
So,
that was the first, that was the first kind of song of
so,
theirs I heard.
so where was you then, Jamie? Where was home?
That's in Plymouth. Yeah,
Okay,
St. Budo.
okay. And so, aside from sort of raiding your brother's records and stuff, did your folks have music on at home? Was you exposed to sort of lots of music growing up?
No, not at all. No. Radio 2 was on, which at the time was awful.
Hmm.
Um, my dad had a terrible record collection, like really bad. Jimmy Reeves, Nana Muscuri, Perry Como, not so bad. He did have the one record, and uh, the one record that was in there that I still love to this day was John Denver's Rocky Mountain High.
Yeah,
For some reason, so I have a song. I released an album last year called "The Years in Between," and I name check that album in the song.
yeah,
I kind of made this connection of I used to listen to that record a lot when I was very young, and I started wondering, well, is that what made me want to go and play guitar?
yeah,
Because I don't know why I asked for a guitar, no idea
yeah,
at all. So was it something about that? Did my dad somehow surreptitiously set me on this road
yeah,
to what I was going to do? And Yeah, so I kind of wrote about that in the song, The Years in Between. So just so you know, my dad died when I was 19. So I have this whole life of all these things that I've now accomplished,
Yeah,
managed to do, and all these dreams that I did have then
yeah,
that came true that he didn't get to see.
yeah.
And we've reached the point in my life where I'm now longer without him than I was with him.
Okay.
And that's a strange line to cross,
Yeah,
you know. So I think all those things were on my mind when I was writing that stuff. Um, and that John Denver record's brilliant.
yeah.
If honestly, if you don't know it, it's so good. The layering of it, the acoustic playing on it is fantastic. And it's almost like the stuff. Do you remember that a few years back, that Midlake album, The Trials of Van? It's like that. It could be right alongside that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. It's a brilliant, brilliant record.
Um, it is. It's really weird that you say that as well, because there was a few albums growing up, and there was some awful stuff. There was lots of Brotherhood of Man and just shit. Like, but there was the best of John Denver,
Right,
and I just remember like constantly listening to Leaving on a Jet Plane,
right,
and
yeah,
just absolutely loving his voice, and then seeing him on the Muppet Show.
right.
He was on the Muppet Show. What more
Of
do you
course he
want at
was.
that age?
Yeah. I mean, he got a lot of stick for not being cool. Bless him, John Denver. But you know, I don't know. He nailed it on some of those tunes.
Completely. Okay, track 3, Jamie. The song reminds you of your school days.
So I have two kind of, and one is primary school and one is secondary school, and both are the same memory of me kind of walking around a playground singing them. So I was a big House Martins fan because of Happy Hour and the video to Happy Hour.
Obviously.
And you know, just singing that, and I got into that. My brothers again, he had London Nil Hull 4, and I played that record a lot, and I loved that. And then I was the one who then kind of wanted to go out and get the new album when it came out. So Build was off The People Who Grin Themselves to Death,
Yeah.
which is, you know,
What an amazing title for an album.
and what a record for like an 11 or a 12-year-old to be going to get. Excuse me, do you have you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So, but that for whatever, you know, the song Build, which is, I used to sing a lot just to myself. Um, Build, just all the time. It was just always in my head. And I loved Paul Heaton's voice, and I
I think
still
Paul
do.
Heaton has got one of the greatest voices that the UK has ever produced.
Yeah. And one of the best songwriters. And
Incredible.
not really been you know, credited as such. I don't think. I feel like I can't say he's underrated, but he doesn't seem to have had any of the accolades that he should have had.
No.
Someone who's written such brilliant songs and shifted the units he's done, because
One
he
in
sold a lot of records.
5 households had Carry On Up the Charts.
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is. He's not given the credibility I don't think that he deserves. I mean, those that love Paul Heaton fucking love Paul Heaton. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I think, you know, it's easy to think, okay, yeah, you know, Happy Hour was incredible. Housewives had some amazing music, and then The Beautiful South had incredible music as well. And there's lyrics that. Are you familiar with the track Let Love Speak Up Itself?
Absolutely. One of my favorites.
Fucking hell.
That record,
Like,
that Choke album's amazing.
oh
Just,
my God. His
yeah.
vocals on that
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
unbelievable. There was a brilliant documentary about Paul Heaton that was on just before Christmas. I don't know if you ever saw
I
it.
did. Yeah. I did. Yeah.
Oh, it was just brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's everything you want in a pop star. He's a bit crazy, isn't he? You know, he's very, very strange with a lot of his sort of little kind of habits. I remember reading something years ago about him where he had this kind of routine when he got on an aeroplane. He was petrified of flying, and he had
Right.
like a 1980s football sticker that he used to have on his thigh that he would rub like as they took off. He had like all these really, and then plus he used to collect crisp bags and like
Yeah.
just that's what you want in your pop stars, isn't it?
Oh man, yeah, crazy. I ridiculously followed him at Glastonbury. I got to play Glastonbury a couple of years back, and he was on before me. And I stood side of stage watching him, thinking, I've followed him my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm about to go on exactly where he stood. And I remember him he was backstage and stuff, and I couldn't go and say hello. I said hello to Jackie,
Yeah.
but I couldn't say hello to him because I'm so worried that heroes like that wouldn't like what I do, because I do this other kind of almost mainstream soppy love song thing. I mean, I don't think it is that personally, but it could be seen as that. Wasn't expecting that. Could be seen as that. It isn't. But so I have this absolute fear that they would be, oh yeah, I know you, and that would be it. I would just be crushed. So so I couldn't say hello, but yeah, I'm a huge fan. He's still writing amazing records,
Absolutely.
still singing incredibly.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that he's kind of been there all those years to have that music to listen to.
There was no 10-year-old boys at my school wandering around the playground singing the House Martins.
Well, here's the other one. Yeah,
I think I was about 14 before that happened.
I said at primary school, I went around the playground singing "Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want" by the Smiths. Because my brother had the Peel Sessions record. What's that called? Hatful of Hollow.
Hatful of Hollow, yeah.
Yeah. So he had that record. I listened to that all the time. And I would be going around, like, as you say, like 8 or 9, going, good times for a change. See the look I've had. You know, it's like 8 years old singing that stuff.
All the other kids like, what's wrong with Jamie, man?
Exactly. Nothing really changed.
Oh, fantastic. What a privilege, though, to have like older brothers sort of exposing you to music like that at such a young age. That's incredible.
Yeah, my brother Andy kind of takes credit. He takes his own credit for, he says he sat me down when I was 5 in front of Summer Holiday, Cliff Richard film, told me to watch it. And he says that's what started it all off.
Brilliant.
I don't know if that's true or not, but they did have some good records.
And what was that you 2 tunes?
Yeah, sorry, that was the school ones, yeah.
So did you enjoy school?
Weirdly, it's a tough question because I probably, for part of it, I did. I reached about 13, possibly 14. Something changed. I'd had to grow up pretty quick because of my dad. I suddenly felt like school wasn't the right place for me. Obviously, I had to keep going. I removed myself from all my friend group and started to sit at the front of the class rather than at the back of the class. And I kind of just got on with it. I struggled probably. I was quite popular. I was quite liked. And then in the 5th year, I kind of joined the school band, and that became my salvation in a way. That's what set me off doing what I still do. You know, we used to practice every lunchtime, after school as well. We were so ridiculously dedicated for 15, 16-year-olds, learning REM songs, Pearl Jam songs, Nirvana songs, Jimi Hendrix, Chili Peppers, anything that was around.
Yeah.
And that's just all we did. We kind of devoured it. And that was my safety. That was my safety net. That's what caught me.
Did you at that point, did you realize that music was something that you wanted to pursue?
Not in any way. No, I didn't. I was from Plymouth. There was no way you made a career in music coming from Plymouth. You know, I think for a while I wanted to be an art teacher, and then because I really liked my art teacher, but then he changed, and he got sad, and I didn't get that, and he was quite angry. So I didn't want to be an art teacher anymore. And then I went to art college, even though I failed my art A levels. Somehow I still got into art college, and it was, I think, a year and a half into art college when I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I left and moved to London to be a singer.
Wonderful.
That's an abridged version. there's more to that story, but yeah.
All right. Well, look, let's go back as well, and back to it to them times. I want to know what the first record you remember buying was from a record store.
Well, do you know, I can't remember.
Okay.
So I think the first album I ever bought was either Peter Cetera, Glory of Love, because the Karate Kid was out,
obviously,
or Michael Jackson's Bad album. Now I think Peter Cetera precedes it, but I'm not certain. So also,
Cetera would have been about 80. Oh, I reckon that was maybe about 86, 87.
Yeah, and so Bad was 87, 88, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. However, I did have singles before that, and I can clearly remember Shakin' Stevens, like I said, Musical Youth were in there, and the track I'd mentioned to you, which was Candy Girl by New Edition, which is an awful song. So, no, I know you make playlists of this stuff, so I so apologize to your fan base and your loyal fan base that might go and listen to this playlist, because I listened to it yesterday thinking I should probably go and listen to that again, and oh my god.
Well, the first album I ever bought was Now That's Rock Music, the first one, and that's on there, and so I listened to that a lot, and obviously that band, a lot of very famous people come out of that band.
Bobby Brown,
Belle
Biv DeVoe.
Exactly.
That girl is poison.
Like, tune. That's a tune, that is.
I was even a Bobby Brown fan for a while.
Mate, every little step.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
And what's weird is, if you go, not that I'd expect you to, but if you go on YouTube, you can. New Edition are still playing. They've all got back together.
Are they really?
And it's very strange seeing like 50-year-old men singing Candy Girl. It's quite strange.
But, you know, I checked, I listened to the song on Spotify yesterday, and they had over 1 million monthly listeners, and I thought, who is still listening to this?
It's got to be for that tune.
I don't know. I just thought that was odd in itself.
They had a follow-up was it called Mr. Telephone Man?
Yes, I think it was.
Wasn't it? Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, what you've just said there, you've just said New Edition and Musical Youth. Now, both of them, as I'm 47, and so when that came out, you know, I guess like 10, 11, and I remember thinking, I watched something about Musical Youth, and it said they didn't have to go to school, and I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. I thought New Edition don't go to school, and then I saw something about a couple of the cast of Grange Hill that they only done a few lessons whilst filming. I just thought, I need to be famous. Like, you don't have to go to school. I want to be Musical Youth.
Oh, man.
I'll hang around with Zammo.
That'll lead you down the wrong road with Zammo. You don't want to go with Zammo.
Absolutely. All right. So moving on from school and I guess around the time of art college and beyond, I'm going to ask you about a song that soundtrack your years in Clubland. Now, before you answer it, I should stress as well, because I speak to so many musicians, and I need to maybe rephrase this question somewhat, because I think people presume I'm going, did you have a summer in Ibiza, or was you in one of them kind of high street chrome-covered clubs dancing to Dr. Alban? No, none of that. If you was going down your local dirty, sweaty indie club and throwing yourself around Jam, that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't think that. Isn't it strange? Because you're right, I did. I was thinking, well, I never went clubbing.
Yeah.
Ever. But the reason I never went clubbing, again, was because of my brothers.
Yeah.
So they used to go out clubbing.
Yeah.
And when I was, 11, 12, they'd bring all their friends back to our house, and you'd see them in the morning with black eyes, like that. And they were just getting in fights all the time. Now, Plymouth at that time was pretty rough.
Yeah, cool.
There's a street called Union Street, which is famous for it. And so I thought, well, I'm never doing that.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
Now, at art college, on a Wednesday, there was a jelly.
Where was that?
Plymouth still. I stayed in Plymouth. Yeah. So there was what was it called? A jelly jazz night, which was like acid jazz.
Yeah.
And I went to that. So I remember going to that, but I couldn't remember one song.
Yeah.
It was all like
was that JTQ and Corduroy and
That's it. Yes,
yeah,
exactly that stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
And
Mother
probably
Earth,
some Stevie
yeah,
Wonder stuff, thrown in every now and again. But
yeah,
I wouldn't, I haven't listened to that stuff since then.
yeah,
So I couldn't name a song, but I would have gone to indie clubs when I was in London. I used to go to the Garage.
yeah,
There was a club there.
yeah,
And when I lived in Dublin for a while, and I used to go to Whelan's, and there was always on a Saturday night after the band, there was always a club there too.
yeah.
But again, I don't really remember a song. It might at that time it would have been the Killers, like Mr.
Yeah,
Brightside, if that came on. And
yeah,
again, another amazing intro because
yeah.
you like tune straight away.
It's so strange, right? Because I've been a club promoter for 30 years now, and I've run this indie club in Essex, and have done for 30 years. And Mr. Brightside still is the most requested song we ever get, and it's one of them songs that you do think. About 3 or 4 years ago, I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, come on, like no more Mr. Brightside, and it felt tired. And then I saw them a couple of years ago in performing it in Reading, or some Radio 1 thing. And then I saw them this year doing it at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
It was good, wasn't it?
With Johnny Marr playing guitar as well.
Yeah.
And it sounded so vital, fresh, and exciting. And it is weird because it's played to death, but there is one reason for that. It's because it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those classics as well, where the first verse is the same as the second verse.
Yeah,
exactly. It's not even. It doesn't even. It feels like they've gone. Oh, we'll go back to that, and they never got time, and they didn't need to. It's like, how did they get away with it? But yeah, it's a killer tune.
No pun intended there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Are you a dancer?
I can be, yes. I am, or I've been known to. Probably less and less as I get older. But there are a few songs that are guaranteed to get me on the dance floor, and one of them would be "Higher and Higher" by Jackie Wilson, which I must confess was also our first wedding song.
Oh, that's wonderful!
Our
what a
first
lovely
dance,
record.
yeah. So we even did the whole dance routine thing and getting everyone up on the dance floor to do the dance routine. And
wonderful.
I remember my niece thinking it was just the lamest thing ever because she could dance, because she was doing GCSE dance or whatever it was, and it was just brilliant. Like so easy. Really boring. But it was just the best day, and that was one of the highlights for sure.
He's Jackie Wilson's voice. I mean, I know I've just gone on about Paul Heaton's voice, but Jackie Wilson's voice. Have you ever heard him sing Danny Boy?
No.
Jamie, when we're done, go and listen to it.
Go and look it. Okay.
And it will knock you sideways. It's unreal.
Wow.
His voice goes up and you think, oh my God, how's he got there? Oh no, he's done it again. He's gone even up. Oh, hang on a minute, he's gone again. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And it's got that, I can only equate it to like what you sometimes hear Mariah Carey doing, but it's not that kind of, that showing off of, look what I can do thing. Yeah. It's like, it's just coming from within and it's stunning. Yeah,
right. Thanks. I will check it out. I mean, you mentioned Paul Heaton again, but that's where he was inspired from. That's where he got that. He was a huge fan, or is a huge fan of that stuff.
Yeah.
So he knew that stuff inside out. I remember him singing a Bill Withers track on Later.
Yeah.
You Just Can't Smile It Away, which is just gorgeous.
I remember him singing, and I can't find it anywhere, and it was on a show like, was it called Rapido or something like that, with Jane Middlemiss or something like that?
Yeah.
And he was singing with a choir, Lean on Me.
Right.
And it was just incredible. And I know that he got into some trouble with Jazzy B because I can't think what Beautiful South song it is, he says, back to bed, back to reality.
Back to bed.
Yeah.
Back to you are.
That's it.
Yeah.
and he was saying that Jazzy B and Soul to Soul tried to sue him for Back to Life, and sort of said something like, it wasn't sort of, they're about soul music, and he was like, I remember he was saying, I've got more soul in my little finger than Jazzy B's got in his whole body, and I just thought, Jazzy B needs to listen to him singing "Lean on Me." That's like that's soul music right there. Like, absolutely. Yeah. Track 6. Favorite song from an artist from your home county?
Well, so I'm from Devon, right? So this is really, I mean, it's not difficult. I'm quite lucky in that I've chosen a song called White Hair by Seth Lakeman, who's a friend, and I know Seth. But there is very little choice.
What else is there?
So I actually looked up. I had to look up, famous people, singers from Devon, right? So Chris Martin's from Devon. He's from Barnstaple. So your man from Muse.
Oh, of course he is, yeah.
They're from Teignmouth. Right. Joss Stone.
Yeah.
Ben Howard. This list, right, scraping the barrel so much that it had to include Will Young because he went to the University of Exeter.
You're not having that on default, no way.
And Tom York. Tom York also. And then Damon Albarn because he owns a farm in Devon.
I'm not having that. Damon Albarn, we've had him because he went to uni in Essex. We're having him.
Exactly. I mean, Tom York's from Oxford. I don't know where Will Young's from, but I just thought, oh man, they obviously, they struggled to find 50 people on a list of famous Devonians.
Wonderful.
Yeah, crazy. But anyway, Seth Lakeman is a folk singer from Yelverton, so not far from Plymouth. He was once in a band called Equation, which were kind of going to be this folk pop crossover that Jeff Travis signed to his label. So Jeff Travis did Rough Trade, yeah. And then set up a label called Blanco y Negro, I think. That's right. Equation were going to be this big pop folk crossover, and it never really happened. It produced Seth, Cara Dillon, Kate Rusby, and Catherine and Sean as folk artists themselves. So they all went on to do things, and beautiful things as well. I'm a big Kate Rusby fan. I'm a big Cara Dillon fan. And then Seth has this kind of really soulful way of approaching folk. He sings it from the heart because that's pretty much all he knows, and he plays it from the heart because that's all he knows. It's all he's ever done from the age of 3 or something ridiculous. His playing is incredible. The song White Hair was actually I think a Radio 2 single of the week or something like that, and he was also, I think he signed to Katie Tunstall's label, Relentless. Is that right? Something like that. And so I think there was hope that would be a crossover as well. Yeah. And for a little time it did. And the song White Hair was kind of that crossover, really. And it's a song about a folk myth. And I looked it up. It's to do with how I'll read you this quote. It says, in some parts of Britain, it used to be said by the cunning folk that when a pure maiden who had loved a man with all her heart and soul is forsaken or is betrayed by him, her spirit returns in the form of a white hair to haunt that man, bringing him misery and death. And that was the, song of the week on Radio 2. Was about that. Which I thought was brilliant. That's all folk music in one paragraph right there, but it's all about that. But so I was really chuffed and proud of him, for him, that he was kind of reaching these places, with his music, considering he would never have expected it. Yeah. So, and it's a beautiful song. It's a gorgeous song.
Before we get to the last track, I was chatting to my wife and children today, and they said, "Are you podcasting today?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I've got Jamie on today," and they saw you supporting Ed, and I've just got to ask, like, what what does that feel like before, during, and after walking out on a stage of that size to that many people?
So I was very lucky. I got to open for Ed on a whole series of stadium dates, and I realized quite quickly that it was a whole other level of gig. So I couldn't really, my thing, if you came to see me at my show, I am relatively quiet. I'm quite talkative. I want you to come to me, and I want you to feel safe, and I will invite you in. You know, we're there together. It's a beautiful experience, and you know, even if you're there on your own, you are amongst friends. That's how I see my shows. For when you walk out at Wembley and there's 80,000 people, that doesn't work. So I realized I had to start warming up for the show. I had a 20-minute slot for Ed. I would try and get 8 songs into that 20 minutes, or 7. It might have been 7. And I would start warming up for that show an hour and a half beforehand. Now, usually for my own show, I would maybe do 2 or 3 songs, because it would just be this. For my own, I have a kind of ritual. I sing Jackson Browne's These Days and Mr. Bojangles. For some reason, those 2 songs put me in a mood that I'm now okay.
Yeah.
You know, I know where I'm at. This is where I want to be. This is the mood I'm at. This is good. That wouldn't work for, you know, Stade de France or Berlin Olympia. So I'd have to play for like an hour and a half to do a 20-minute set. And the reason is just the electricity that comes back at you is just so immense.
Yeah.
That you just had to kind of get to a place, you know, so high before you even get on the stage. Otherwise, it just blows you away. And I just remember really enjoying it every minute. You know, I really did enjoy it, because it was kind of like, in some ways, it was harking back to the pop star that I wanted to be at 8 years old.
It's Michael Jackson.
Exactly. I moved away from that as I got older, and I found REM and Crowded House, and it was a different type of music. Even though they played big venues, there was a difference to it. So, but I kind of channeled this inner pop star that was still there somehow to kind of go and do this thing of being this larger than life Jamie, if you like, in order to do it, still presenting my songs as they were. I didn't change anything there. I just picked the ones that would work the best in that situation, and wasn't expecting that, which didn't really suit that situation. But because people did generally know it, you could get away with it. Obviously, Ed plays solo. Ed's an incredible performer, completely solo, nobody else with him. He just builds and builds and builds those songs, which is what helps him create that sound to get across to all those people. And he is a major talent in doing that, no doubt about it.
Well, you mentioned Crowded House and REM a moment ago. They're 2 very, very big bands for me. Have you ever seen before they got back together, the last ever Crowded House show in Sydney?
Yeah.
I mean, I had that on VHS, and I mean, that's quite a gig, isn't it?
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Like, it's the Opera House, isn't it? And it's like, as far as the eye can see, it's just literally the whole of Australia has turned up.
gone to
watch. And it's unbelievable. And I mean, are you a big fan?
I am, and I'm still a big fan of his. He recently released a record called Out of Silence, which is just stunning. It's so good, and you can watch the whole making of it on YouTube, because they filmed it. They literally they did a weekly transmission where they showed you the rehearsals of how they were doing it, and then they recorded and live streamed the recording of it, which took 4 hours. So they made that album in 4 hours, and you can watch it all. They do 2 or 3 takes of each song, and it's just so beautiful. The song
Wow.
itself, which the song Love is Emotional, which opens the record, is just a thing of absolute beauty and as good as anything else Crowded House ever did. It's so good.
Wow. Okay.
If you find a spare 4 hours, watch it.
Yeah. I've got a bit
If
of
you're
time
into
hands
that
in
stuff,
lockdown.
yeah, if you're into that sort of thing, I mean, if you're not a nerd
Yeah.
about these things, you probably will get bored. But if you are, it's just like, wow, the concentration of it.
I can watch him all day long.
Yeah.
I had a really just talking about Crowd House has just made me think of something really bizarre. I'd completely forgotten about that. Years and years and years ago, in the kind of mid-90s, there was a tiny little venue in Chelmsford called the White Club near where I lived, and my band was playing. And it was like, yeah, you're supporting this band. They're doing this tiny tour. They're from New Zealand. And I was like, all right, okay. And they're called Dead Star, and I was like, oh, okay. And didn't know anything about them. And the press around them didn't mention it, and it was the bass player from Crowded House.
Oh, really?
I was like, oh my god! And so literally just kind of was a little bit sort of dismissive. As I ain't even heard of them. I don't know who they are, but yeah, we were supporting this band, and then I was like, oh my god! I'd literally been watching that VHS on repeat, and I was like, it's him.
I used to work in a record shop in Dublin. It's been pretty much my only job ever that I had, and it lasted a year when I lived there. And Nick Seymour used to live in Dublin, and he would occasionally come in and buy records that I would then, thanks, that'll be €30, thanks for, that sort of thing, and not say anything. It's just like, that's Nick Seymour, And it happened Peter Buck came in when REM played, and I sold Peter Buck records. And
are you serious?
Yeah, Snoop Dogg came in one day. They had to shut the whole shop.
So would that have been when REM played in Dublin with Beautiful South supporting, I believe?
Oh, possibly, but I did not see them on that tour. I'd seen them at Slane Castle.
That was Monster, I think. Oh, yeah, no, that was Monster, wasn't it?
That was Monster, yeah. So I saw that, but I didn't see Beautiful South. When I saw them, it was Oasis opening with Belly and the Cranberries, I think.
I went to Milton Keynes for that, and that was Belly, because I was in love with Tanya Donnelly at that time. It was Belly, Blur, and another American kind of college rock band called Magnapop. And that was the first day it was the first time Blur played Country House. They went, this is their new single.
Really?
And they played Country House. And,
wow.
Wow.
I do remember thinking when Oasis were there, and I hadn't really got them at that point, and I watched them, and I remember thinking, wow.
Yeah.
Liam had something.
Yeah.
He had that thing.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a few times in other people, but it is very rare.
Yeah.
And I can't work it out. I'm not a massive Oasis fan. I got into them at the time, but I'm not a huge fan. I think they've written some good songs, or Noel has written some good songs for sure. But yeah, he definitely. I just remember I got to the mosh pit bit and had to get carried out. But so I got carried out over the front, and I remember just grabbing 20 seconds to just look up and watch, before I got moved on and turfed out. And it's like, that's something.
So for the last track, I'm going to ask you to tell us a song that many may not know that you would like them to hear. You can play DJ now, Jamie.
Okay, well, thanks. So I've gone for a song called Tricks on Me by a guy called Jed Whedon. I think it's Jed Whedon and the Willing, I think is the full band name. Now, I think Jed Whedon is the brother of Joss Whedon, who was the kind of writer or producer of all the Buffy series.
Okay.
And I think did all some of the Marvel films and things like that. And I think Jed Whedon is in that world as well, but he must have this side band. And I think I discovered the track on a film, and I do not remember the title of the film because I don't think it was very good. But this song was in it, and I checked the song out, and I fell in love with the song and the album. And he's since released a couple more records, which are equally beautiful. and it's just a really gorgeous acoustic, really well layered song, lovely melodies, really interesting lyrics. Like the word allegory. I'm a sucker for any interesting word in a lyric. I don't know what allegory means, but it's in there, you know.
I hope you're not looking at me to tell you what it is, because I ain't got a clue.
So yeah, it's a really beautiful song, and I kind of I see it as a little bit as a kind of benchmark of good acoustic music, and how it can be both really beautiful and really interesting at the same time, the way it's laid up. So there's another band called Wheat that I really love, that I might have gone to as well. Not many people know the band Wheat, and they're very similar and just really interesting layers. You can spend hours finding something new all the time, and at the same time really good lyrics, really interesting melodies, and you know, things that will get stuck in your head. And I've always loved that about music. I mean, and that's kind of what drew me to REM and Crowded House, and even the Jackson 5 or the Smiths. You know, you've got these songs, this music where you can just sing along to it if you like. That's absolutely fine, because those melodies are really strong and they'll stick in your head. Or this lyric, which you can really think about, really delve into, really discover something else, and maybe find something about you in it. And I love that about music, and that's kind of what I've been trying to do because of these sorts of songs.
Perfect. So, new music is out now?
Yeah, today, this very day. Yeah,
okay.
the Moving Images EP is out today.
Okay, and people can get that in all the usual places?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we are, I guess, you know, you're not walking into HMV. So
soon, apparently.
Is that true? Okay.
15th, apparently.
Okay. Well, as things stand, you can, if you want a CD, you can get there's like a Music Glue site that I have that you can buy stuff, or, you know, it's obviously on all the streaming services and things like that. So yeah, feel free to have a listen. I'll be very grateful.
Well, I'll put together a Spotify playlist on Spotify of all your song choices today, so people can go and check them out. And when this comes out, are you happy for me to sort of tag you in it on the social media front, so people can go and...
Please do. Yes.
Wonderful. Jamie, it's been an absolute pleasure.
You too.
Thank you so much for your time.
You.
It's been a blast. Thank you.
Man. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Take care, man.
You too. Bye for now.
Cool, man.
Amazing.